Hello and welcome to Inside Sports. I'm Wes Decker, and it appears I'm slowly closing the book on a personal saga. I'm amazed that I haven't mentioned it on the show yet because, quite frankly, it's changed my life. It all started the morning of July 26th when I went out for a run on two perfectly healthy ankles and feet, and 9/10 of a mile later, one ankle and foot could no longer be described as perfectly healthy. Having rolled my left ankle coming off a curb to the point that I swear I saw a flash of light when it happened, and concurrently having experienced pain that would have felt a normal human being, I somehow managed to limp back to my vehicle and drive home. By the time I had gutted out showering and then sat down, my ankle had blown up to the size of a hot air balloon. I felt it was prudent at that time to have it checked out, so it was off to MedExpress. X-rays would reveal two fractures, one in my ankle and one in my foot. After wondering aloud to the doctor if this is what I get for attempting to be healthy, I asked him if he was sure about the diagnosis because I had never broken nor fractured a bone in my life. He reassured me the diagnosis was correct and that I did, quote, a hell of a job for my first time. That provided little solace for me and more than that, a lot of subsequent inconvenience. After 2 days on crutches, I graduated to this right here, this beauty, for the next 43 days. The time it took to put it on and secure it was lengthy, and sometimes there simply was no time. That was part of the bad news. The good news is, should there ever be an Olympic event called the 1-foot hop to the bathroom in the dark, I'll certainly be the favorite. I've got that down like a champ. As of last Friday, though, I've traded in my walking boot for an ankle brace and a prescription I haven't yet filled. It's one for compression socks. That's right, you heard me, a script for socks. It's impossible to make that up. I just feel like when the doctor starts prescribing you socks, how long can it be before it gets even more personal? As the saying goes, the struggle is real. Speaking of which, as it relates to county football teams, week 2 was a rough one overall. 5 of 8 schools came up on the short end of the scoreboard this past weekend. Hey, perhaps a prescription for compression socks is the answer. And I just happen to know where they can get one. One team that doesn't seem to need any help right now is St. James, following Saturday's win over Mercersburg on TV. The Saints are 2-0 with an average margin of victory of 54 points per game. Incidentally, outside of an, oh, by the way, world champion wrestler stopping by later, we're all football today. And we kick off our pigskin pig out with the 4 captains who do a lot of the heavy lifting for St. James. Prepare for the set to be filled with Saints when you come back.
Champions are not merely born, they're forged in the crucible that is flag football. With equal parts turf, pigskin, and heart. That's why Buffalo Wild Wings donates to boys and girls clubs across the country to not only help thousands of kids learn about teamwork on and off the field, but to help them fulfill their destiny. To shred defensive lines, terrorize the secondary, and emerge bonded as true champions.
When you're sick or hurt and can't be seen by your regular doctor, you just want to feel better faster. Make a convenient appointment or simply walk into Meritus Urgent Care, where you can receive attention from our caring professionals, from sprains and strains to sore throats, earaches, and other ailments that are not life-threatening. Meritus Urgent Care has you covered with on-site labs and x-rays and much more. We're conveniently located on Pennsylvania Avenue in Hagerstown at the Sylvania Center. Feel better faster with Meritus Urgent Care.
Welcome back to the show. We continue with football now, and joining me, 4 members of the St. James Saints football team. We got Parker Tribble, Lane Gay, Colin Williams, and Tyler Groshot. Welcome to the show, guys. Congratulations on the win on Saturday. Got to see you on TV then. You were dressed a little differently, Parker, on that particular day. Yeah. Tell me about the win over Mercersburg and just how much you had put into wanting to get that victory after losing to them last year.
I mean, right after the game last year, I think it was, even our coach said, it's the most memorable loss he's ever had. Like, he said nothing was like just like that. So I think it's just been the whole year building up to that whole season. I've been thinking, this whole start of the season, I've just been thinking about that game right now. So.
And how much did that affect your effort personally on Saturday?
Oh, I went as hard as I could. I was dead after that game. It felt like my friend said, it felt like we won by 6, not however much we won by.
Lane and I had talked to Coach Walker of Mercersburg earlier in the week, and he said that he was intent on having his team play very physical against you guys. Did you feel that?
Yes, they definitely played physical. I mean, us 4 all agreed that we definitely felt it after the game. I mean, I'm still feeling it today, the hits that they put on us, but it was definitely a physical game, but I think we gave it to them pretty well.
Now you catch a pass that ultimately sets up the first touchdown that you then score. I mean, how big was it to get the first points in that game?
It was definitely huge. I mean, it was the big turning point of the game, really set the tone. Our defense came out. They were much more ready. I mean, not that they were ready, but I mean, they were definitely more enthused. And everybody really, I mean, our crowd, much more energy. And I mean, I think it gave Tyler confidence too, to really just throw it around. And I mean, threw 5 touchdowns after that. So it's just a great game.
Yeah, it certainly was for the St. James side. And as you said, you know, the crowd was really into it on both sides. Colin, I mean, do you feed off of that?
You know, it's tough to focus on the crowd. You're so into the game. You're just focusing on what you have to do as a player. I don't really hear the crowd. I'm too into the game.
Well, you had a sensational game on both sides of the ball. Some big catches on offense, making some plays on defense. People are talking about this offense because of the points that they're scoring. I mean, there's no question, just piling them up seemingly one after another. But defensively, you guys have been strong through the first 2 games. Is that a big key to the success that you hope to have before the season's over?
It is a big key. And it really just goes to show how many pieces we have. We don't have just a few good players on the defense. We have 11 good players on the defense, and we all just do our job and get the job done.
And getting the job done has certainly been the case. I mean, holding Mercersburg to 7 points, and you just shut them down pretty much throughout the course of the game. And on offense, Tyler, things really got rolling for you. I mean, there were some drives there where I think there were, 2 one-play scoring drives. Now, you're no stranger to throwing touchdown passes, but 10 touchdown passes now in the first 2 games. Is this surprising you a little bit that these numbers are coming about?
Actually, to be honest, I was extremely nervous going into the season after being injured for as long as I was. I didn't really know what to expect. So honestly, I am in a little bit of shock. Obviously, I do trust my ability. I trust my guys. This year, I think our ability and our skill level as a team is better than any other year. We're very complete this year. So the amount of trust and confidence I had in my guys, I'm shocked, but I'm not that shocked because I knew my guys were going to help me be able to put up those kind of numbers.
How does it feel to be back and to be healthy and to be leading this team on offense?
It feels so good. There's nothing quite like being out on that field, especially playing with my guys. There's nothing like it. I'm so glad to be back.
Now these guys give you a lot of crap, let's say, you know, when you're off the field. But does that just indicate how tight you really are as a group?
Yeah, we're a very close group. You know, Coach Rutt put emphasis on that during halftime of the Mercersburg game. He said, you know, you guys are a brotherhood. It's where you guys come together and kind of put the game away now. And I think he hit the nail on the head. We really are a close bunch, especially, I mean, living with each other. All these guys, except for Lane, he's a day student, they live right down the hall from me. So we're kind of with each other 24 hours out of the day. So no, we're a really close bunch.
Parker, I know before the season, Coach Rutt talked about wanting to win the MAC this year, that's the next logical step. What do you feel, as you look at this team, what's special about this team that will make that happen for you?
I think this year we don't have any holes. Like, we're never like, oh, we got to make sure they don't run to the right because we don't have like an outside linebacker for that side, or we got to always throw to Mechie. Like, we can throw to anyone on our team. Everyone on our team can tackle, and we got subs who can come in whenever we need them. So I think just with all the numbers we have, and if we just keep playing as hard as we possibly can, put out the effort, I think we've always wanted to win the MAC, and I just think we can.
Lane, what's your confidence level with this team right now? I know it's only 2 games in. You want to take it 1 game at a time, but how high is your confidence at this moment?
My confidence is the highest it's ever been with any team. I mean, our guys, they want to win, and that's what I love about this team. It's a brotherhood, like Coach Rudd always says. Tyler, I mean, he always keeps us in that like tight zone. Like there's nothing like outside of football during football season, and I think our focus towards this season is really going to pay off for us in the long run.
And Colin, what are your responsibilities as a captain, as a senior captain?
My guys make my responsibilities very easy because they already know what they need to do, and if they need a reminder, that's all I need to do.
So it's pretty easy.
It is pretty easy.
Yeah.
Because we have such an old core. I think our youngest starter is a sophomore, and that's only one guy. So it is a very, very experienced unit.
Well, congratulations on the win over Mercersburg. It was a very entertaining one, and we wish you the best the rest of the season, including coming up this Friday against St. John's Catholic Prep. Thanks for being here, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm back right after this. More football. Bob Parsaliti joins me for that in just a moment.
Want the latest new release movies today? With Movies on Demand, you'll get these titles before Netflix and Redbox.
She did something to me.
Captain Underpants, you can't actually fly!
I take to the sky like an ostrich!
What are you?
In the name of all that is good, your wrath upon this world is over.
Watch the newest collection of movies on demand before Netflix and Redbox.
Labor's Office Furniture now has a large selection of in-stock FlexSteel home furnishings. After 43 years of establishing itself as the place to find top brand office furniture at warehouse prices, great deals on FlexSteel home furnishings have come home to Labor's. Stop in to see Labor's FlexSteel inventory today.
At Hamilton Nissan, we know you've got places to go, so let's travel together. The Nissan Rogue, plenty of room for you, and plenty of room for him. With nearly 40 cubic feet of cargo space, everyone will be using the Rogue for everything, all the time. And on occasion, you'll find an evening for yourselves, and the Nissan Rogue will be right there with you. Hamilton Nissan, let's travel together. Come see us on the Dual Highway.
Welcome back to the show. More football now, and joining me for this segment is Herald Mail insider Bob Parsaliti. Welcome back to the show, Bob.
Thanks for having me on.
It was an interesting week for Washington County football because we had 4 teams who had an opportunity to remain undefeated. By the time the week ended, we have just 2 teams who are 2-0. The Williamsport Wildcats, a team that right now is living up to the optimism. 18-6 was the victory over Century, significant in that it had only been a short series with Century, but they had never beaten Century previously, and they go on the road to do it, and that defense right now looks tremendous.
Well, the defense is the key to this. I think, considering they've only scored about 30 points in the 2 games that they won. They 18 in this game, and they're all touchdowns with no conversions. The defense really has had to get called on to do the job, and it's done so far.
Jacob Ball, the key on offense in that game, capping the opening drive with a 14-yard touchdown run. It was a 13-play drive covering 69 yards. They were 2 for 3 on 3rd down, 1 for 1 on 4th down. And then Century would drive all the way to the Wildcat 9-yard line, but then an errant snap on 2nd down was recovered by Janari Carroll and returned all the way back to the Knights' 40-yard line. And on the resulting series, after converting a 4th and 9 with an 11-yard catch and run by Kayvon Carter, on the 7th play, then Jacob Ball came right back to number 1 on the next snap, and Carter covered the final 13 yards, extending the Williamsport advantage to 12. Zy Lyles had an interception on defense, setting up Williamsport's last score. But for Williamsport, this is really uncharted territory, being 2-0.
I think it's been since 2001 that they've been 2-0, but that doesn't necessarily mean success, because on that year they went 2-8 for the season.
And that's why coaches say, hey, let's not get too excited too early before all is said and done. Conversely, though, the Wildcats have started 0-2 or worse 7 times in the previous 14 seasons. So by comparison, much rather be where they are right now. And the next 3 weeks are going to tell us a lot about Williamsport. I mean, first they've got Liberty coming up this week, a school that Williamsport has never beaten. And then they've got Allegheny the following week. And then they've got Catoctin after that, a team that's 2-0 right now, and Allegheny and Catoctin coming back to the schedule for Williamsport.
Well, Liberty's 8-0 against them, but they got handled last week because they played Walkersville. So they're going to be coming back looking for something too, I think.
Williamsport back home trying to go 3-0 for the first time since 1997. Boonesboro defeated Silver Oak 54-12. The Warriors sprinted out of the blocks and into the end zone twice, securing a 16-0 lead in the process, but then securing the football suddenly became a problem, and that enabled Silver Oak to get back into it. But Silver Oak couldn't stand the prosperity and the Boonesboro generosity, giving back big plays all night due to an egregious lack of discipline, and then fumbling the ball away deep in Warrior territory in the 3rd quarter. Boonesboro would pounce on the mistake-prone Rams, scoring the game's final 38 points Boonesboro now 1-1, and will take on Brunswick, who's a surprising 1-1. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. That game at Brunswick coming up on Friday. South Hagerstown lost at Westminster 43-14. The Rebels fell behind 26-0 in that game, but the opening drive sort of set the tone for everything. South started from its own 48 after a good kickoff return by Eric McDonald. 8 plays, got them only 26 yards, though. Took 4:06 off the clock. They would turn it over on downs at the Westminster 26, and then Westminster would turn around from their own 26-yard line. 14 plays, 3:38 off the clock, a touchdown pass and a score. South goes 3 and out, and then Westminster scores 1 play later, and all of a sudden it's a 2-score game, and it was pretty much all Westminster the rest of the night. Kind of a quicksand type game for South, because the more they tried to dig in, the more that Westminster sort of took the game away from them, but it happened so slowly and so methodically.
Westminster did a good job, too, of taking away the strong points of South's offense. Guys that normally aren't leading the team in stats, or led the team in stats in this particular game. Now, I know we're only talking about two games, but usually, the guys that come back from last year are the guys that are the featured guys, and they weren't at the top of the list.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Talik McKenzie got injured in that game in the second quarter or not. He looked like he was banged up in the second half of that game when he was out kicking. But he didn't see a lot of action after the second quarter on offense and was limited on defense. So that may have played a little bit of a role there. But Westminster taking that game away from South with a touchdown late in the second quarter, and then they returned the opening kickoff of the second half for a score, and that's when it became 26-0 South with a couple of second half touchdowns, but not nearly enough. And the Rebels have now surrendered 84 points to the Owls in a pair of losses the last 2 years. By comparison, South's only given up 152 points in 10 other games the last 2 years, and now they'll be back home to take on South Carroll coming up on Friday, and South Carroll comes in at 0-2. More football coming up from week number 2. Bob and I are back right after this.
Premier concentration. Premier confidence. Premier achievement. Premier martial arts. Concentration, confidence, and the ability to achieve is in every child. Premier Martial Arts brings it out. Call Premier Martial Arts today to bring out the best in your child.
Welcome back to the show. One more football segment to go. Bob Parsoliti stays with me for this. And Bob, the North Hagerstown Hubs had a chance to go 2-0. It's been a while since they've had that opportunity. They went to Manchester Valley, and I'll tell you what, more things happened in a 7-0 game that did not go the Hubs' way than just about any game you would ever want to draw up. I mean, there were a number of things that took place in that game. The North defense, again, playing very well. The only touchdown they gave up came after a fake punt conversion by Manchester and put them in the red zone.
The defense has played very well, and the idea that they're going to more of a power running game. I mean, Jacob Sprecher has been fantastic for them. I think he's had 2 100-yard games, I think, and he's
and he really had to be on Friday because they were without their starting quarterback.
Right. Scott Neal was out with a concussion, and so I mean, to lose that game 7-0, I think says a little bit about where North is going. I mean, it's not going to be the thing that says that they're going to be 8-2 now.
Right.
But I mean, they're going in the right direction.
Yeah, 5 of North's 10 possessions crossed midfield in that game. So offensively, I had to feel like they just didn't finish drives, and clearly not putting any points on the board points that up more than anything. But on defense, forced 6 punts and 2 missed field goals, held Manchester Valley to 176 total yards. North had not started 2-0 since 2004, still haven't, but they could go to 2-1 potentially coming up on Friday as they get that Century team that lost to Williamsport, and Century comes in 0-2 and comes to Mike Callis Stadium.
Well, and the other thing about that defense, though, is as well as it plays, it doesn't seem to get turnovers. They have 1 touchdown, 1 interception, but they didn't get that many turnovers last year either. And I think if they can force the short field, they'll be a lot better.
Yeah, they lost the turnover battle on Friday night, which was key in such a tight game, 4-0. Brunswick over Clear Spring, 40-8. The Blazers gift wrapped Brunswick's first win in 3 years by giving the ball away 4 times, and the Railroaders reeled off 40 unanswered points to drop Clear Spring to 0-2. Clear Spring will host a 2-0 team in Northern Garrett who defeated Brunswick back in week number 1. Smithsburg, meantime, trying to even their mark at 1-1, going all the way to Delaware to play Delmar, who beat them last year at Smithsburg. 41-6, the final score in favor of Delmar. And an interesting stat here for Smithsburg now, and not a good one for the Leopards. They've now lost 5 straight Week 2 games over the last 5 years. So that's not been a kind week to them. The Leopards will have a bye week before they play Catoctin coming up a week from Friday. Mount Carmel defeated Hancock 29-6, Bob. And once again for Hancock, trying to fix what went wrong in week number 1, didn't get out of the gates very well. Once again, they give up a kickoff return for a touchdown, and it happened to be the opening kickoff.
That's been the problem. They don't play very well from behind to start with, and you put yourself down immediately, and probably a little bit fragile there as far as the confidence with a whole new team, and that's what you get.
Yeah, I think frustration, obviously, after giving up 2 of those the week before, factoring into the loss, coming back, trying to get off on a good foot, being at home for week number 2, and just did not work out as the Panthers only managed 6 points. All the scoring came in the first half of that game, 29-6 the final in favor of Mount Carmel. And now Hancock goes on the road for the first time this season. They'll be at 1-2 Capital Christian on Friday. Well, that'll wrap it up for football. Bob, thanks for being here. I return right after this with a world champion. Does this sound familiar? An American defeats a Russian in a big match. Aaron Brooks of North Hagerstown joins me to talk about his adventure in Greece in just a moment.
Antietam Broadband's Flight Gigabit service is ultra high-speed internet delivered by a direct fiber connection. We are one of the few communities in the country to have it. But what does it mean? It means businesses will want to move here, which means more jobs, better jobs. It means access to world-class infrastructure for healthcare, education, and nonprofits. It means enhanced social and economic well-being. That's why it won the 2017 Leading Edge Award from the Chamber of Commerce. Flight Gigabit from Antietam Broadband, changing how people connect.
Welcome back to the show. We continue now with a tremendous treat. A world champion, that's right, a world champion wrestler has joined me in Aaron Brooks of North Hagerstown. Aaron, welcome to the show and congratulations. I'm sure you've heard that a billion times since all of this took place, but you go over to Athens, Greece, come back with a weight class championship. And again, a world title. It's just something that we don't often talk about on this show. We don't even aspire necessarily to talk about it. But take me through how all of this happened from the time that you arrived in Greece to winning the gold medal there.
So we arrived in Greece. I'm not sure which day it was, 100%. But so when we got there, we got to the airport. We'd go to baggage claim and. So then, we're waiting for a shuttle to get to the hotel. 30 minutes later, we finally get one. So right off the bat, we were kind of waiting.
Sure.
So, we finally get to the hotel, and, we get checked into rooms. We just look around. It was beautiful. Outside was the ocean. It's great views. You see the mountains. And so we just took it all in and enjoyed it. And then that same day, the whole team, we all checked our weight. And we were all like 10 pounds over, so we're all just laughing because we knew we had to lose it soon. So
everybody's in the same boat.
Yeah, everybody's just overweight, so nobody was mad. Everybody was just laughing, So after that same day we got there, we started losing weight, got a little workout in, and then it was like all the way up to the first day of wrestling, which I didn't even wrestle on the first day of wrestling. I wrestled on the second day, but up to the first day, most of us were cutting weight. Just getting our weight right, and then wrestling started. So, the kids that were wrestling on day 2, me and some of my other teammates went over there to support the kids that were wrestling that day. And that day was fun. One of our kids wrestled a kid from Greece, which is, it's their home country. So and the crowd was crazy for that kid.
I was going to say.
And it was a real close match. So,
yeah, he's not getting a ton of support outside
and
our
kid lost on a challenge call. So if we would have won, we would have had to dip out of there. We'd have run real fast. But even after the call, the fans from Greece were throwing water bottles on the mat and chucking stuff. So it was real intense. But the atmosphere is crazy just off the first day. And then, second day, that's when I'm wrestling. I was real excited to wrestle. It wasn't like any other tournament. There was any side nerves. It was just
no nervous excitement.
Nothing at
really?
all. I was just very excited to wrestle.
Mm-hmm.
All the way up to the time I was just smiling because I knew it was time to wrestle. So
sure.
It was just real fun once I got out there.
Well, just impressive too the way that you handled everything bout by bout. I mean, you dominated these guys. I mean, did you expect that it was going to go that way? I mean, I know you go in wanting to wrestle your match, impose your will, but did you expect that the matches would be as lopsided as they were?
Yeah, I did.
You did, really?
I honestly did. I knew that if I went out there and wrestled the way I'm supposed to wrestle, nobody would be able to.
That's just ultimate confidence in yourself. Yeah. And you knew you had prepared for this.
Yeah, I knew I was ready for it.
Yeah. Now, what's it like wrestling under the American flag like that, representing the United States?
It's fun. It gives you, honestly, an extra boost, because it's for your country. It's real big. And you're not just representing yourself, you're representing a whole country. So it gives you extra motivation to really get it done.
Now, clearly, this is the biggest championship that you've ever won, the biggest title you've ever won. But you've won national titles previously. Yeah. You've won state titles. But this stage itself, and hearing you talk about and describe the way it was when you got there, was it tough to focus on the job at hand? I mean, just being in a foreign land that you've never been in before and kind of taking it in?
It was me and my one teammate, Will Lowen. He also won. But I remember, we and him were talking about how everything was different. We're not in the USA. And but I remember I told him, I was like, we might not know how to work the hotel lights. We might not know how to read the stuff. We might not know what's going on, but we do know how to wrestle. Right. And that's what I told him. And so I mean, it didn't shock me at all. Like I said, I didn't know how to do I didn't know most of the stuff in a foreign country, but I do know how to wrestle.
Yeah.
So that's what I focused on.
And you proved that. Yeah. You proved it to the world, as it turned out. So tell me about the championship bout.
This guy from Russia, I don't know how to say his name.
That's okay, neither do I.
He's from Russia. He's a real tough kid. Before the tournament, he was one of the kids I had been studying that I knew because he was a top kid in that weight class. He had been beating everybody on that whole side of the country. So, I watched him, and as soon as I watched him the first time, before I even knew we were going to wrestle, I could see he was a very defensive wrestler, but he shot a lot, which is different. So he would shoot a lot, but if you got to his leg, he was real good defensively too. So, me and my coaches before the match, we had a game plan to just go out there and wrestle the way I've been wrestling, but, expect for him to shoot desperately a lot, which he did towards the end more likely. But in that match, I scored the early 4, and then a challenge point. But and then coach was like, watch how he's going to try something reckless. He's down 5-0 already. And that's whenever I started shooting, whenever I didn't need to, and that's whenever he started scoring a little bit. But I almost tech fought him before the period ended. And he was scrappy. He scrapped out. I went to cradle him, and he wiggled his head out and got around me. So he was real funky. It was a really different kind of style, which I wasn't used to, so it kind of caught me off guard. But at the end, I adjusted to it.
Well, congratulations on all of that. I'm sure it's been a whirlwind for you, but not something that you haven't been preparing for. And the Olympic Training Center will be your destination once you graduate from North Hagerstown next June. I mean, just bigger and better things potentially down the road for you yet. But congratulations on that world title, Aaron. And
thank you.
Thanks a million for being here today. Yeah. Certainly appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Next week on the show, got all kinds of good stuff for you. Maybe not a world champion, but we'll have Week 3's football, and we'll bring you up to date on volleyball, a little report card on county volleyball next week. That and much, much more. Until then, I'll see you on the inside.
Hey, your sisters and your brothers, your haters and your lovers, you gotta get up in the streets.